The night she vanished, the rain fell sideways. Not a drop touched her front porch, no footprints led away from the house, just an open door and a single red shoe left behind. They found it under the maple tree at dawn. No blood, no sign of struggle, only silence where a child should have been. Her name was Emily Carter. She was 7 years old, lived in a quiet town called Ridge Hollow, Firming. Population 2,417. People locked their doors but never worried. Until that morning, until the phone rang at 5:17 a.m. Sheriff Dale Mercer answered it himself. Wife had just given birth 2 days prior. He was still in his robe. Voice on the line was raw with panic. "My daughter's gone. He drove there in 6 minutes. Sirens off. Didn't want to wake the whole street." But the neighbors were already outside, blankets wrapped tight around shoulders, rain soaking their slippers. Emily's mother stood barefoot on the grass, holding that red shoe like a prayer. "She went to bed," she said. "I kissed her forehead at 9. Her window was locked when I checked. But now, the door's wide open." Mercer looked inside. Bed neatly made, stuffed rabbit on the pillow, night light glowing soft yellow. Nothing seemed out of place, except the absence. A child should be here, was here, now wasn't. He walked the perimeter. "No forced entry. Back door secured." Garage shut. Only the front door stood open, as if someone had stepped out, or something had stepped in. He asked about family history. "Any enemies? Mental health concerns?" Mother shook her head. "We're ordinary people," she said. "We go to church. We pay our taxes. We love our daughter." Mercer believed her. Too much pain for lies. He ordered the search. Volunteers with flashlights and daubs covered every yard within half a mile, checked storm drains, abandoned sheds, even the old quarry down Route 9. Nothing. By noon, news vans arrived. Cameras pointed at the red shoe. Reporters whispered theories. Runaway? Family member? Predator passing through? But no one could explain the locked window, or why only one shoe remained. The FBI got involved by evening. Agent Naomi Reyes from Missing Persons, sharp eyes, quiet voice, listened more than she spoke. She studied the house, then the neighborhood, talked to teachers, friends, bus driver. Everyone said the same thing. Emily was happy, polite, loved drawing horses, never acted scared, never mentioned anyone strange. Reyes focused on the door. Why open it after taking her? Unless it wasn't opened after him, maybe it was open before's, and someone waited inside. She re-interviewed the parents. Father worked late that night, got home at 10,000, said he peeked in on Emily. She was asleep. Mother confirmed she checked at midnight. Door closed, lights out, so between 10,030 and 5:15 a.m., someone entered, without breaking in, without waking the parents. Impossible, not if they knew the house or the routine. Reyes requested security footage. But Ridge Hollow didn't have street cameras. Only one gas station had a working system. Footage showed a white van, no plates visible. Drove slowly past the Carter house at 3:18 a.m. Stopped for exactly 47 seconds. Then turned down Elm, out of frame. Van never reappeared on camera, disappeared like smoke. FBI issued a statewide alert. Amber Alert blared on phones, radio, gas pumps, posters went up everywhere. Emily's face stared back from telephone poles, big brown eyes, gap-toothed smile, holding a purple crayon. Every parent in 3 counties felt the chill. What if it was my child? What if I didn't hear them scream? Days passed, no leads, no ransom call, no body, just silence. Hope faded like the posters in the rain. But Sheriff Mercer refused to quit. He visited the house every morning, talked to the parents, sat in Emily's room, read her drawings. One showed a tall man with long fingers standing outside her window. She titled it, "The Shadow Man," dated 3 weeks before she vanished. Mercer hadn't seen it before, asked the mother about it. She said he wasn't real, she said, just part of a dream. But she drew him often, always the same. Tall, thin, hands too long, face hidden in darkness. Reyes saw the drawing, sent it to behavioral analysts. Matched traits to known abductors, no direct hit, but similarities to a case in Idaho, 1998. Boy disappeared, found months later in a basement. Drawings found too, of a shadow figure, same description. Case never solved. Reyes dug deeper, pulled records from similar cases over 20 years. 8 children, all vanished without trace. All had drawn or described a shadow man. Different states, different decades. No geographic pattern, No DNA links, but one constant, the drawings, always the same tall, thin figure with impossibly long fingers. She called it a signature, a predator's calling card. But how? How could one man strike so far apart, years between attacks, unless he wasn't human, or not one person at all? Could it be a myth, passed from child to child, like a whispering game gone wrong? But the Idaho boy had never heard of the others, had never seen the drawings, yet described the same man. Reyes couldn't dismiss it. She flew to Ridge Hollow, met Mercer at the station, spread the files across the table. "This isn't random," she said. "This is ritual." "What do you mean?" he asked. "The timing, the precision, the way he leaves one object behind. In Idaho, it was a blue sock. In Ohio, a hair ribbon. Here, a red shoe. Always something personal, something tied to the child. And always near a tree," she added. "Maple in this case. Oak in Idaho, birch in Ohio. He places them," she said, "like offerings." Mercer felt a cold weight in his chest. "You think he's coming back?" Reyes looked out the window. Rain tapped the glass. "Not if he's finished, but if he's not," they both knew what that meant. Another child would vanish. Soon, they increased patrols, set up anonymous tips, hotline. Schools held safety drills. Parents walked kids to buses, locked windows twice, but fear grew anyway. 2 weeks after Emily disappeared, a girl in Wisconsin went missing. 10 years old, vanished from her bedroom. Door open. One pink sandal left under a pine tree. FBI linked it within hours. Same pattern, same shadow drawings found in her journal. Reyes flew out immediately. Mercer stayed behind, guarded Emily's house like a shrine, waited for a sign, anything. Then, on a foggy Tuesday morning, he got a call from an elderly woman named Agnes Bell, lived on the edge of town. Said she'd seen something strange. "At the old Miller farm, abandoned since the 1970s. "I was picking blackberries," she said, "around 4 a.m. I saw lights in the barn, not electric, candles, flickering behind boarded windows, and a figure standing in the doorway, tall, thin, long arms at his sides. I froze," she said. He turned his head. "I swear he looked right at me, but didn't move. When she blinked, he was gone." Lights vanished. Silence returned. Mercer drove there at once. No tire tracks, no broken boards, but fresh footprints in the mud. Size 13, men's shoes, traveled deep into the woods behind the barn. He followed them, gun drawn, heart pounding. Trail ended at a creek. But on the opposite bank, something caught his eye. A scrap of fabric. Pink, caught on a thorn bush, same color as Emily's pajamas. He bagged it, sent it to the lab. DNA results came back in 48 hours. It was hers. Confirmation, she had been there. Recently, Reyes returned. They organized a full sweep. K9 units, drones, thermal imaging, cleared every inch of the forest, found nothing. Until day 3. A dog alerted near a collapsed root cellar, hidden under leaves and vines. Team pried open the door. Rusted metal screeched, darkness below, flashlights cut through dust, stairs descended into earth. They moved slow, weapons ready. Bottom level was a chamber, concrete walls, no windows, one cot, one chair, and on the wall, dozens of drawings, all of children. All with the same shadow man, names written beneath: Emily Carter, Jacob Mills, Lena Torres, 14 names total, some crossed out, others circled, and in the corner, a fresh drawing, not drawn by a child, by an adult hand, showed a little girl with blonde hair, standing in a yellow dress, under a willow tree. Title, next, no name, but written below in careful script, soon. They searched the entire county, focused on families with young girls, near willow trees, found 3 matches, interviewed each. One girl had nightmares, said she saw a man outside her window, described long fingers tapping the glass. Parents thought it was imagination, but Mercer didn't. Posted a deputy outside their home. Round the clock, night fell. Rain returned. Deputy reported nothing unusual. At 2017 a.m., his radio crackled. Vehicle approaching, white van, no plates, moved slowly down the street, stopped across from the house. Engine off, no movement inside. Deputy called for backup, stayed low, watched. After 3 minutes, the side door slid open. A figure stepped out, tall, thin, cloaked in darkness, hands hung low, thin, cloaked in darkness. Fingers brushing knees. It didn't walk toward the house, turned and looked up the street, right at the patrol car. Deputy froze, pulse in his throat. The figure raised one hand, pointed, then stepped back. Van door closed, engine started, drove away. Backup arrived 2 minutes later, traced the van's route, led to a junkyard on County Line Road, abandoned, fenced, no lighting. Team entered quietly, split into pairs, flashlights scanning rusted cars, piles of scrap metal, half-collapsed sheds. Then, in a shipping container, they found it. Light from inside, faint, yellow, like candlelight. Mercer approached, gun steady, peeped through a crack in the door, saw a table, candles burning, photos of missing children pinned to walls. And in the center, a small red shoe, Emily's other shoe, complete set. He kicked the door open, room empty, candles still lit. Chair overturned, footprints in the dust, led to a tunnel beneath the floor. Concrete hatch barely concealed. They followed it, narrow, damp, air thick with mildew. 30 yards in, it opened into a larger space, not man-made, natural limestone cavern, ceiling dripped water, walls glistened. And in the middle, a cot, a shelf with books, and a wooden box. Mercer opened it. Inside, notebooks, hundreds of pages, handwritten entries, diary of a monster. First entry, 1963. Name, Elias Voss. Age, 28. Occupation, school janitor. Confessed to first abduction. 7-year-old boy. Said he heard the whisper that night. Voice in the wind. Told him to take the child. To keep the balance. He did. Left one shoe under an oak. Then waited. For years, decades. Claimed the voice returned every 10 years. Always on a rainy night, always demanded another child, not to harm, but to feed the roots. He wrote of ancient things beneath the earth, older than towns, older than memory. They sleep, he said, but they dream, and dreams need fuel. Children's fear, one and out 12. Children's fear, one and out 24. Their innocence, their final breath under a tree. He believed he was a guardian, not a killer, a servant. His last entry, time comes again, the willow calls. The next is chosen, I obey. Date, 3 nights ago, no mention of where. But Reyes found something else, a map marked with symbols, each at a different location, where children vanished, all connected by a straight line, formed a perfect spiral. Center point, Ridge Hollow, exact spot, the Miller farm. Where Agnes saw the lights, where the root cellar was, ground zero, and the next point on the spiral, a park 10 miles north, willow tree near a pond, birthday party scheduled that weekend, dozens of children. Mercer and Reyes raced there, arrived at dusk, set up surveillance, snipers in trees, plainclothes officers blending in, parents unaware, laughter filled the air, balloons bobbed. Music played, but tension coiled beneath. At 8:47 p.m., a white van parked at the edge of the lot. Driver wore a dark coat, hood up, sat still, did nothing, for 20 minutes, then stepped out, carried something wrapped in cloth, walked toward the willow tree. Mercer moved in. FBI! Freeze! Figure turned, slowly, raised hands, but didn't run. Officers surrounded him, handcuffed him, opened the bundle. Inside! A child's red moccasin, not from a recent victim. Too worn, too old. Label inside read Jacob Mills. Missing since 1998. This wasn't Elias Voss. This man was younger. 40, maybe. Name, Daniel Reith. Record showed he lived in Idaho, worked at a school. Janitor. Exactly like Voss. But Voss died in prison in 2001. Suicide. So how did this start again? Reese wouldn't speak, just smiled. In interrogation, Reyes tried. Who told you to come here? Silence. Did you take Emily? Still silent. But he drew on the table with his finger. Small circles, overlapping, forming a spiral, then tapped the center. Smiled wider. They released the story carefully. Public learned a suspect was caught. Abductions stopped. Relief spread. Families celebrated. But Mercer and Reyes weren't convinced. Reese was a vessel, not the source. The diary, the spiral, the whispers. This was bigger, older. And the ground beneath Ridge Hollow still felt watchful. Months passed. Reese remained in custody, never spoke again. Died in his cell one winter morning. No cause found. Autopsy showed no injury, no poison, just stillness, like he'd simply stopped. Mercer retired soon after. Moved south, left the badge behind, but kept one thing. Emily's drawing of the Shadow Man, framed it, Hung it in his study. Sometimes on rainy nights he'd look at it and wonder, not if it was over, but if it ever really ends. Because some stories don't have clean endings. Some shadows don't fade, they wait. Beneath the soil, under the roots, listening for the next whisper. And when the rain falls sideways, you'll know why. It's not the weather, it's the world leaning away from something it can't name, but remembers. In the silence after a child's laugh, in the creak of an open door, in the single shoe left behind. Evil doesn't always roar, sometimes it slips in, on quiet feet, with long fingers, and a promise to return. We tell these stories not to scare, but to remember, to watch, to listen, and to stand guard for those who can't. If this story stayed with you, please like, subscribe, and share. You never know who might need it.